You're amazing. Thank you so much. Okay. Okay. I am going to get started, guys. Officially for all of you who have been waiting here. And I appreciate that. Okay. So, hello, everyone. I'm Sudha Jamthe, and this is Weekly WED at Business School of AI. Okay. I'm just getting a notification. Okay. So, this Weekly WED is our weekly global speaker series, and we have a select set of you here on Zoom. And I've been sharing the links on how to get to the Zoom. I'm not going to go back to that. And this is streaming live on LinkedIn and YouTube. I won't be able to come and watch the YouTube right now, but if you are watching on LinkedIn, or if you come back and watch later also, you can tag your friends or add a question. And for those of you who are here, just by being here, you're giving us permission to record and live stream, because we always record and we share it in our newsletter and multiple other places. And we also have the Zoom AI assistant, which is listening to create the transcript. So please go off camera if you don't want to be recorded. Please don't speak up if you don't want to be included in the transcript. And you have the option to chat. And we'll start by chatting where your name and where you are coming from, because it's not just about me, but you will be able to connect with amazing people. And I see a lot of new people coming in this time. So feel free to introduce yourself, and feel free to comment and share resources, anything on the chat, like you'll sit in a webinar. Okay. So today's topic is NoCode AI with large language models. Let me bring our speaker in here. Hello, Pierre. Pierre Volt app is joining us from Paris. And we almost connected when Pierre was here at Berkeley and built out the NoCode AI Club, I remember. So NoCode is something that I use in all my classes and teaching, because I don't believe everybody needs to be a programmer, because we have multiple roles in the AI world. And the world of no code, low code has been growing so much. And I've been very impressed at what Pierre has built. So I want to hand it over to Pierre. And I would love for you to do a holistic introduction about your the whole no code, how you landed here, what you're doing. And I also believe you hosted a no code summit last week. So I included the recording of that in the recent Jamthe newsletter that went out on Monday, guys. If that's of interest to you, you can come watch the whole thing. So Pierre, welcome. I'm glad you're able to find time for us. So talk to me. Tell me a little bit about your background. I don't want to think of you as the Haas Berkeley student. I know you're more than that.
Thank you, everyone. Indeed, my name is Pierre, Peter in French, and actually, I first worked into entertainment. I was working for Warner Brothers and other companies to do basically production. So, for example, audio production, dubbing, etc. And then I moved to more filming with drone companies. And basically, what I saw is, when you have a content creation, you want to connect to your audience. And when you are a creator, you have a way to publish and distribute your content. And then I saw really that into drones, which are basically flying computers, you have a lot of issues with access to programming. Who can program a drone? Because a drone is, like I said, a flying computer. How can you create apps that can basically let the drone to put seeds for agriculture, to do to watch, for example, people in need, etc., etc. And basically, I went from the drone industry to the space industry, which you can see a bit bit on me because I started a project with the European Space Base. So it's like the US Space Base, but in France, in South America, in French Guiana, an overseas department of France. And there we have all the 22 states of Europe and also Canada, who are joining us basically to build rockets. And we're trying to not only build rockets to make scientific discoveries, but also to lead the future of space. So, for example, the lunar space station will be built, and some part will be built with the European. So basically, space is an amazing adventure, but like any other industries, you need to have application, and you cannot ask a rocket engineer to be a coder like that. And so it takes a lot of time to be a computer scientist, and an average of 5 years. So we wanted to have like a quick tool to basically create apps on the go really quickly, because the space race is accelerating, as you all know, and also a way for those experts in their own field to build visually. And to build what? To build software and to build AI. And how can you do that? So basically, we created a startup called Volta, which is incubated in the European Space Base in the incubator Station K, because it's in Kourou, in French Guiana. And basically, we created a software to create visually programming. So you can basically link blocks, bricks of code between them. So it's like Legos of code, and you build your different Legos to build a bigger Lego, and you can create your own application very quickly. And how do you do AI? You do AI by
I'm muted and I want. I can't say anything.
So maybe I will just finish saying that how do you build AI? You build AI features in your application or between your application by basically connecting APIs. So it can be either an API of a famous service, like for example the Open AI API, or you can download your LLM, your large language model, to run it locally. And that's the big unique thing about our project is we can create apps and AI locally, and not send all the data to an external server, which is more efficient for ecology, for the environment, because the data doesn't have to go very far, and also for data ownership, if you want to save your content. And when you think about education in space or elsewhere, sometimes you have hundreds of documents. How you can run an AI that can basically read everything, and when you ask a question to that AI, then it can be easy to have an assistant in any kind of application that you can build.
So it's very fascinating how you came from an entertainer to space work, and then to, as a need. They say any good technology that is built, that stays, is built because there is a real need, and typically the founders feel the need for it, right? So that's fantastic. I did try and go to Volt app .tech. So for those of you on the live stream, I just want you to know the URL is Volt app, and Pierre Lacombe has made his last name into a Volt app so that you can catch the right name right here on the screen. So voltapp.tech, and I had a chat bot come chat with me and ask me questions, and I tried to say this, that, go away, and it was very polite, and it led me nicely to actually start building stuff. So I'm going to go, there's like all kinds of free templates, and I'm going to go try that out. Okay, so talk to us about, do you want to show us a demo? What do you want to do next?
No, it's better if I answer your question, because so basically the AI takes a little bit of time to configure it,
Yeah.
and if easier, we can talk about we are at the first step of the technology, of course, because it's still very early in the process. The OpenAI API, for example, just got released just at the beginning of this summer. LLMs are coming more and more, and they came out through the past weeks. So basically, right now you can create your own app on voltapp.tech, and you can link also API either directly through an HTTP request brick, or you can use automation tools like Zapier, or which is one of the biggest plugin in
Yeah.
OpenAI, or any or other one. We are making actually our own automation tools with LLM inside, but it's like any process of app or AI creation. You need to think about basically what you want to build. So maybe let's talk about the difficulties, the issues, what is at stakes with AI. It will be easier than to show you a demo.
Okay. So I wanted to share my screen and just show this window that I was telling you guys about. Let me see if I'm able to find the tab. Volt app, I believe. Yeah. So voltapp.tech, and I was able to go here and have a little chat with the Pierre chatbot.
Yeah, it's
and
my doppelganger.
your
So
avatar. Yeah.
so you can close that chatbot, for example, and go to example to show you a little bit what we can do. So this is the software that you can see on the home page. And if you go to example, you see what kind of apps we can create. So you can create a dashboard with AI. You can create an event manager. For example, you can create a marketplace. So a marketplace with an AI for comments or any kind of customer reviews. You can create so many things with NoCode and AI. And for example, you can make also some AI playlists. You can also learning is huge in AI too. You can also so that's a learning academy. So if you want to create your online school, you can, and you can think about basically how AI, also social networks, and you can think about how AI can improve people's life. And an AI, as you know, LLMs are sending and receiving text. How you transform those texts into action? What kind of document do you feed the AI with? There is a lot of issue, for example, with a long time memory of those AI. So, for example, let's stay with the dashboard. For example, on the dashboard, you can say, "Oh, I will create a dashboard about, for example, medical data." So there is a lot of privacy in stake. And how can you feed? How can you create a secret prompt with all the data of every users, but with the addition request from the user. For example, let's say that you have a special diet. You can create a feature, an AI feature. Okay, with my custom diet, create my meals, my meal recipes of the week, for example. So you can think about many like very high value features with AI. But first, you need to think about the user experience. You need to think about the data. etc., etc. And my advice is start with big APIs, OpenAI API, or you can go to Hugging Face, for example, where you can find so many APIs to do whatever you want, and start with fake data, with dummy data. Create your own experience, and then regarding the privacy that you are dealing with. So, for example, if it's medical data, think about a model that you can run on your own server, prevent yourself from GDPR or other privacy.
Yeah.
Go with the privacy regulation of your country, of course. But you have many ways to start building your own AI features. And many people are telling me, for example, oh, do you know that that AI, for example, like for those who know the Notion AI, for example, or many other companies, it's not always their own AI. It's usually their own software is basically communicating with a LLM, which is based somewhere. It depends. It can be locally or it can be on an external server. And as a user, you see only that. But how the LLM will communicate with the content that either you, the creator of the app, or either the user have put into your app, you have to deal with that. And all the logic, all the data, all the process needs to be think really far and go with iteration. That way, you will be able to make your own AI.
That's quite a lot. So I'm going to give some context for our students here. We have people who are working with LLM, and we also have people who are product managers, who are data owners, entrepreneurs. And so on this topic, we've been talking about generative AI, foundation models, even before ChatGPT launched, and it was like the hype began, right? And last month, I did a 2-part webinar on LLMs. What's in the brains of the LLMs? How does it work? And this is a unique set of audience who want to go dig deeper into the technology. So I'm very happy to see the depth at which you have played with this. And I can't wait to go hands-on to go try that. So for those of you who are new or like looking at this, if you want to go back to our archives, it's all on YouTube. You'll be able to see the webinars, you'll be able to see the entire playlist and see related topics if you want to, brush up or come up to speed. And now the way I'm thinking about this is I've been working with NoCode AI specifically. So in my classes, I've given tools and we build stuff, right? But I want to take a step back because what you're doing is bigger than AI. And I love how you're connecting to LLMs, right? But I want to get this in the context of a broader landscape that's out there. So on LinkedIn Learning, I have a course called Learning Artificial Intelligence with NoCode AI. So I think if you go to LinkedIn Learning and look for my name, and I usually link this in the Jamthe newsletter if you want to take a look at that. I give the landscape of NoCode AI applications out there and how do you select it and how do you build it, that kind of stuff. And LLM was not there at that time, so it doesn't include LLMs. But coming back to you, Pierre, I saw that you have an option where I like that you're saying, okay, start with a real experience you want to create. Take a step back. Why are you doing this? What is the business problem you're trying to solve? Do you want to create an e-commerce store? Do you want to create a school like Business School of AI? I'm paying Teachable, and that's where we host our courses, things like that. So I'm going to try and see whether I can do the academy and put some of our even weekly web recording as a course for people to just, have a nice experience to come back instead of saying, go to YouTube. I'm going to play with that. I like that you have created a bunch of templates and what you say is Lego pieces, right? Modules by which you can build the website, you can build a mobile app. That I get it, right? Because there are prior tools I can translate to. This hook from calling different APIs. So somebody who can code actually goes to Hugging Face And then Hugging
Yep.
Face gives the option of connecting to all possible APIs, open source APIs or Bard or GPT or Llama or anything, right? And all of that, but it is done by calling the API, getting a key, and then calling using coding, right, in some form.
Yep.
So you're saying that you're offering the equivalent of that. The only other place I saw anything close to that is Zapier. Zapier, you can create zaps and you can say, connect this product to this other product. So for example, when people sign up for Weekly Wednesday, it comes to Teachable. And then everybody signs up and I need to get them onto Zoom. Or I need to get them to a mailing list. I have a bunch of zaps set up. So then as soon as they come on Teachable, and this whole question of I have to respect the privacy of people, I can't just keep sending their email out to other sites here and there. So but Zapier gives me all that control, so I create a bunch of zaps to what I wanted to do, right? And I noticed that Zapier has the option to create zaps with GPT-3 or GPT, not, I don't think it's GPT-4, GPT 3.5, I believe
Yeah.
it has that. And for those of you who are new to Zapier, you can go try it. The only thing is, it'll start free, it'll set it up, and then after it keeps on sending the zaps and it's automated, at some point it'll hit your limit and it'll charge you. And so you might want to just be cautious on not leaving things in an automated fashion like a agent. You want to say something, Pierre?
Yes, so this is what we call an automation tool. So the automation tool is here to basically connect application together. So if this is, for example, Teachable, which is a learning platform application, then if you want to connect that to Gmail, for example, to send an email each time that someone has created an account, then you can create, they call that a zap, but you can create a scenario of automation. What we are building with Voltap and or automation tool called Voltask that will be released in a few weeks before the end of the year. The goal is basically not to do only a two-step process, but to create a tree-view scenario where you can create your own very deep logic. So, for example, if I receive an email and if that user already visited my page, or if he's part of a cohort, for example, then you can send an email, but you can do that, and you can do that, and you can do that. And basically to have a tree view scenario, an interactive scenario that you can really play with, where you can really put your logic into that. This is very helpful. And also we can talk about the price. I think on Zapier, you can have like 100 tasks and then for the free account. And then you are charged, I think, 30 cents per task. So it might cost you a lot. And because you are using their own server. So it is really great. And it's one of the most profitable company out there because they know what are you consuming, and they will consume themselves the little part that you just requested. So they will create a margin for that, and you will use a very simple tool, very powerful, with an amazing community and 3,000 connectors, which is a lot. But if you have issues about like pricing, or if you need to run a lot of tasks, or if you have sovereignty, data ownership issues, you cannot use Zapier. And so many people cannot use Zapier. And the principle of automation is magical. It's like doing your dish washing by hand, or just make that run. And then
dishwashing by hand is the best example.
Exactly.
So what I ended up doing with Zapier is, I don't want my private content that I need to protect to go from Zapier here and there. So I create an Airtable table, which is a NoCode AI database. And then I put everything from, I use Zapier like a hook for step to step. So and I believe Teachable has connected with Zapier and done a backend API. So I can only do the things Teachable allows me to. I can't just have this if then logic, what you're saying.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
thing. The thing is, so the power of Zapier is to be able to have so many connectors. And when you're using any kind of tool, basically you want to extend its powers and connect it to your whole ecosystem. So basically, we are doing that also. But it's not only connecting different services and add a taste of AI, because of course we can think about many applications. Like for example, each time you receive an email, but what if it's each time you receive 500 emails? Okay, the AI can then sort your emails and say, oh, you have 60 emails, there are spams, you have 30 emails from a colleague, and you have 10 emails, very urgent, they ask you to get back to them, etc., etc. So you can do that. You can do sorting, you can do redirecting the data between your software. But think about what can do like a plugin of an automation with AI. You can talk to the AI, and as you talk or as you write to the AI can understand what you're thinking and can make decision by itself, can launch scenarios and say, for example, okay, you ask me to, for example, you are a little bit sad. You want a routine in your apartment. So I will change the light. I will make you a meal. I will send a nice message to your friends. So basically, think about automation and no code as a way for the AI to have actions in the real world through software. And right now, it's only the beginning. Right now, it's for softwares and your galaxy of services. But tomorrow, it will be through robots and through connected services, from your car to a humanoid robots. So I think it's really the power of understanding human language, which is crazy. And how can we connect that to real action and consequences, and to have the power to not be ruled by AIs that are coming to you by very powerful
No,
companies,
yeah,
organizations, and
we
states,
are
but you can
not in
make your
that
own.
camp. Yeah, we know that AI is not coming. It's going to do only what we make it do. We need to just get smart about um, thinking about this as an overall experience. In the end, a user, whether we are doing it for ourselves, we are doing it for somebody, you have to start with why we are doing, what do we want, and what is the experience. But I want to go back to something about the data, because the difference between all these other no-code AI tools and I do automation is, okay, I have this user signed in, I put them in Airtable, and the Airtable reaches so many number of users, then I make Zapier go do something else. I usually don't send emails. I don't trust anything automated to send emails. And so, so I actually go put it on my MailChimp, and then I, put it in my newsletter, or I have like a method to control it and send it in my own way. But coming to AI, the difference with AI is, it's one example when you say, okay, you're chatting and the LLM talks to you, right? But what we really want to do is we want to take our data, and then we want the LLM to go look at our data and then chat from the data. So it could be your customer data. Like when I was on your site, it was giving me options only relevant to your site, right? If I go to ChatGPT, it's going to talk about the world, and then it's going to hallucinate and say whatever.
Yep.
I don't know what to believe about it, right? Now I believe Bard is integrated into the Google search, so you can actually chat while you're talking to search, right? But it is more useful if I'm creating an experience with my data, right? I would rather
Of
have
course.
all the chat that we've had on various questions that people are asking on previous sessions, and then use that to fine tune a model. But then I don't want to do that with coding. So tell me how one aspect you said is to keep the data safe. And I don't know if I understood this right, but you said something about not sending it to the cloud and keeping it on the app. Is that true? You can keep it on the edge?
Yeah. So you
Okay, talk to
can
me about that,
basically
please.
have all the automations set up as a image Docker. So it's like you're downloading Zapier. You're downloading the old Zapier. So you can run Zapier locally. And the idea behind that is, for example, when you have, I don't know, you are a rocket engineer, for example. You are
You are,
arriving in
you are the one who's facing yes.
I'm not a rocket engineer, but basically, when you're reading like 300 pages PDF every week because you're learning a lot, or you're studying medicine or whatever, basically you cannot send that data somewhere else, for example, or you want to work with an organization that have all those kind of protected data, encapsulated data. But basically, by running that like on-premise, you can basically run models, and you can teach the model basically to get documents like PDF, Excel, etc., and to nourish its responses from that data. So basically, it's like you're creating a secret prompt to basically say, okay, he asked about, for example, the employee onboarding on our department. I will go, if he asks about that, I will go to that folder. I will take those documents. I will summarize those documents. I will put that back into the language model, and then the language model can basically respond. So that's the first thing you can do. You can like fine tune a model with no code. The second thing is you can also store LLM memory for the long term with special databases that we call the vector databases. So basically, it's a way for the AI. So you have many APIs that are doing that. They are transforming basically images or text into like so many numbers, like in matrix, and all those numbers. So like between 0 and 1, 0.3, 0.45, etc., etc. Those numbers are corresponding to the same meaning. So, for example, if you have a picture of a cat and you have a picture of a kitten, for example, it will be basically the same number. It's a way basically to not have to refine all the time the AI and to give it an access basically to the content that you can train, or like that you can rely on to give a better response. And how you can build that database. So you have many tools to do that.
Like a word to vec. I remember saying, so basically vector is going to give like a matrix of numbers for a word. So a word, like in LLM, in the brain of the LLM, it takes training data, which is all language, words, and sentences. But for each word, it does a matrix of numbers showing its relationship to every other word. And it's like a cluster of such words, right? And so that word to vec is the old one that used to do that. So do you have your own that? So I'm going back to, not just integrating. The first step is to do the fine tuning. It has to take our data and it has to create a vector database. Do you have something embedded as an existing vector database in there?
We are using, so basically databases needs to be, you need to be very careful about databases because like it's what can cost a lot. You have your privacy at stakes with all your customers. So basically we use many tools of databases and some companies or some organization want their own database. And for those who don't have basically databases, we often recommend Supabase, which is a Firebase alternative, and they offer you also ways to have vector databases. So basically, we use that for entrepreneurs or people who don't have the tools like that. And I saw maybe a question about LLMs also. What kind of LLMs are
language? What languages? Because it's all of the basic ones that we keep hearing is in English, and I'm assuming at least it has French support. Tell me about other languages.
So many languages are speaking French and many other kind of language. So we have a big language model, very powerful that have been released called Mistral.
What is
That
it
is
called?
French. Mistral, 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 and it's open source. You can download it. You can run it locally. So we use mainly that one. But of course, if uh, for example, an organization in the US prefer to have Llama 2, we can use Llama 2. So we are really agnostic about the
Can I
LLM.
connect any LLM? For example, I heard that Bloom is better for non-English Indo-derived languages, right? So can I just connect to Bloom directly from there? Can I connect to a whole new different language that's not
Yeah,
Indian?
that's the beauty of NoCode. With NoCode, you can connect any API. So you want to connect to the Hugging Face API and use directly that, do it. You want to download your own LLM and connect it directly your app or your automation with that LLM. Do it. I think that's the beauty of that ecosystem of AI that is rising. Is you are not limited to one choice. And if you want an AI that has been trained to recognize special things, or that has been set up to not say things or to say things, etc., etc., I think it's all based on what they have been, trained on, and you can use a pre-trained model. Of course, training a model will cost you a lot, so it's better to use a pre-trained, but pre-trained like you want it, and use that as you want it, and that liberty is given by the no-code environment. So I think no-code and data ownership, sovereignty, to be able to do that on every server you want, your own or a cloud server that you can take from whatever cloud provider in the world. It's basically the liberty for everyone to be compliant with rules and organization around you, and also set up your own strategy. Of course, if you are a startup and if you have investors, they will ask you to host everything, and then you can have a SaaS product, software to rent basically. For all the users, or maybe you want to have more business to business strategy, and you want to say, hey, you know what, with me you can be compliant to your IT rules. So it's really what is your strategy, who you're trying to target, and finally at the end is what kind of product you want to build.
This is amazing. I think we are getting to the end of our hour. So I want to see, does anybody have any questions? Because this is fascinating. And this is all free, or you have like a paid tier on top of that?
So basically, or it costs, I think it costs 60, starting 60 bucks per month, and you have unlimited user, unlimited data. So it's very affordable. And don't, if you want to try it, you have 15 days of trial. You can reach me on LinkedIn or whatsoever,
Yeah.
or even on the
So
bot
I'm
to
going
ask
to.
me if you want to
So
have more trial.
I'm going to do that because I just looked at the web-based Voltap thing, right? That I could just play and create a course and academy and all those e-commerce sites and dashboard stuff. For the LLM thing, I like the idea. It's almost like Hugging Face, but can do this with no code. So you're connecting to the various APIs. I would
Yeah,
like to
and
play with that.
also if
Good.
you not only you can create your own project, or you can create a LLM project for other people, but see that as an abstraction. So you have coding right here, but there no code is another abstraction. It's for like the common citizen developer. So with your technology, not only you can create your own or for hire, but you can share your project and your no code source. So if you think about a way to connect the Hugging Face API, and you want to share that connection with the world, and you want to say, okay, you know what, I've created a way to interrogate an API and to create a feature where I can recognize, for example, the camera picture and tells you what it is, for example, then you can share that with all the application creators in the world. So it's really a giant community, and don't hesitate to think about what you can bring to the world, either through your final project or either through pieces of Legos that you can build yourself.
Yeah, I like the Lego. I like the Lego approach. I'm very fascinated that you can connect to any LLM and it's agnostic. That's too good to be true. So I'm going to try that out. I've been talking about, fine tuning and taking the content from my generative AI book, which is a Kindle book, and it gives foundation models and how, fine tuning and prompt engineering. It's like a introduction on generative AI, and I want to take that as a content and use that for fine tuning. And we were having a discussion about LangChain and whether we can do it. When I tried that, I could do it, but the ChatGPT will still be like very open-ended, right? It won't just get information from my book, but it will talk about whatever it feels like, right? It just gobbles up my content into ChatGPT's brain. Essentially, that's what it was doing. So I didn't like it. So I'm going to continue on that project to see if I can give away my book content as fine-tuning data, whether I can create a chatbot for my students here to come and chat and learn about everything that about generative AI that's in the book. And the more things they come and we cannot answer, that'll give me a clue on what more content I need to add for my next edition. So it's a nice win-win. That's wonderful. I'm going to try that. I'll follow up offline with you. And let me see if anybody here wants to try this for any of their application that they're thinking about. Talk to me, and then we can go back and follow up with Pierre and see whether he can give us more than the 15 days free. So
Yes, don't worry. I can give you more than that. Try
no,
it.
I'm not
And
going to
for
bring
those who,
everybody to do that for free, because I have respect for the the technology you've built, the brain power you put in, and I respect no code a lot, because we need it. We need that. Like you said, it's another layer of abstraction, and technology industry goes through this. Again, we are in that wave, right? So only the developers who are able to build are building stuff and are very excited, and then the next level people who are comfortable to use APIs but they're not really developers are the ones who are able to kind of even showcase examples. Then everybody else has to wait for tools and platforms and integration into everything else, and they are the ones with all the ideas, and they are the ones with the data, right? They are the ones with business problem, and so they're asking for, okay, how do I use this? How do I build something? How do I go about this? So I like the concept that we can connect to all kinds of LLMs with no code, and you've created it in such a way that you have created a Docker or container for the data, so it's protected. And then I like from whatever I saw of the experiences, you're starting from the user, create the experience, and then create the flow, and then you go connect to the LLMs to do what it is supposed to do, whether it is summarization or Q&A or machine translation, or any of its capabilities. So that's beautiful. So people are quiet. If anybody has any last questions, you can speak up now. If you don't want to be speaking up, you can add a question or comment in the chat. Otherwise, I'm going to close out. And for those of you watching on LinkedIn or coming back and watching this later, please tag a friend if somebody will benefit, somebody's working in this space. It took, I got to know Pierre a couple years back talking about no code. And I was so shocked and pleasantly surprised that right when we are talking about LLM, Pierre is working on NoCode for LLM, and I'm trying to build out a new course on generative AI using NoCode. So I'm looking for all kinds of NoCode tools, and I'm trying to be very agnostic to any specific company or brand. But if I love technology, I kind of go talk about it. So
If
Bob has a
you,
question. Yes,
uh,
Pierre.
So sorry, I would just wanted to say, if you are new to AI and no code, we have also a software called Celestery, like Celeste and Story, basically where you can create your own video game, your own gamified experience with AI. So sometimes people who doesn't have like a clear view of what kind of application and design and where the data is stored, you can start with the Celestery building your own video game with AI, for example, to generate NPC dialogues or to generate illustration, etc., etc. So feel free to start with that if you want to, if you are starting or if you know people who are quite beginners, they can start doing that and share it with the world with a simpler no-code tools.
Okay, so I just put it here in the chat for the people who are here on Zoom. It's celestory.io, and all you don't have .com. So I want to make sure that none of Pierre's sites are .com. So don't go looking for a .com and go into some spam site. So it's celestory.io, an interactive storytelling experience maker. That's awesome. So that's fantastic. Bob had a question, I believe. I just want to see. Can you use the Volt app to read corporate email for customer support and interact with customers?
Yeah, yes, you can do that. You need to think about what kind of email service you are using. Is it Outlook? Is it another email provider? So try to. So the first thing on NoCode, you have to start building your stack. So thinking about all tools that you want to use in your ecosystem, and basically Voltap and then Voltask for automation are here to basically fill the gaps between those tools. So of course you can read emails, you can then create even emails with LLM. You can search for emails, etc., etc. And that's the goal. Basically, why those big companies like Google or Microsoft are putting money into those AIs, because they have already those big softwares and they want to connect them very easily. That's why LLM made in a work office setup, in a work basically stack, is very powerful because it's flawless. You will be able to automate all your low value task and focus more on what you are bringing more value to, and it will save you time, energy, and that's the best, to do what you're passionate about. So yes, about the email, it's very painful to read a lot of emails and to have to spend your whole day replying to all of them. So AI will help with that for sure.
Thank you, Pierre. I believe this is something that people have always had, that, right? They want to see when people send a message to a specific email, what are the topics? Are they asking for help? Are they asking for a cancellation? Are they asking for more information? And so there's been like rule-based chatbots that have been trying to do this, but LLMs would do a much better job because they can, have like a gleam, take that knowledge out of that from the email data set, and then also create the interaction. So Bob, happy to follow up. I'm going to go talk to Pierre and figure out how we can get access and build a project out of this. So I'm happy to follow up if that's something that you want to do about this. Okay, so I want to go back to this question about other languages. So what languages are supported? Remind me again.
So many LLMs are supporting many languages, but some LLMs are like trained with better conscious of other languages. So trying to find LLM project built by your own people. And for example, us in France, we're using Mistral, MISTRAL.ai. but you can. I've seen LLMs based more on Spanish or on Hindi, and on Chinese. So it will really depend on what data it has been trained on.
So you're basically saying choose the LLM that understands the language that you want. I've been
Yes.
trying to work with Ine Yankee
Yes.
on Bari language, which
The-
is not included in any LLM, so we can't give support for Bari. But if any LLM understands that language, that's how we should approach it. Instead of let's do
Exactly.
GPT, then it will
It's
do only English and a few languages, right?
it's
Okay,
it's it's not only the language, it's the language, also the culture, because some things can be
yes,
right to say to some people in the US, and it would be shocking for the UK, for example, and vice versa. So it's really it's what is the essence of a culture. It's not only the language, but it's also all the rules which have been put into the LLM. And you need to look that up to basically see what have been the data that it was trained on. For so many reasons, it's really important to know the source of your information, especially
yes.
if those LLMs are the base of decision trees. And more important is the decision tree. Make sure that you really have the right LLM powering. It's like basically with Iron Man, you know, he has his little reactor in his chest. You need to have the right reactor and to have something that can power your rocket or whatsoever. Choose the right pattern to do that. And on the LLM, build your own logic and be fair, iterate, and be passionate, and keep the feedback also of your user to improve that.
Sounds good. Awesome. So I think we reached the end of the hour, so I'm going to wrap up. For those of you who are on Zoom, you should get an email with the AI summary. I will just make sure that I will review that once, but it will go out to you all. If you did not, I want you to make sure that my email is, I think it comes from my email because it's my Zoom. Make sure that it is not in spam, and you add me into the contact. Okay, so with that, I'm going to wrap up, people, and thank you everybody for joining, and thank you. We definitely are going to follow up. I'm very excited to go try this out. So thank you, everybody. Okay, bye. And I'm actually heading out to San Francisco right after this meeting, and I'm going to try the Waymo driverless taxi today. So I will share something from there and the experience. So thank you, everybody. Ciao. Bye.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much, Pierre. We appreciate your time and all this excitement, and what you've built is amazing. So I'm going to follow up offline with you. Thank you.
But it was a pleasure. Thank you for the invitation. And I will
Yes.
send you a code that you can share with the community.
Sounds
And
good.
happy to follow up.
Yes. Thanks. Cheers.
Have a good day. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye bye.